Hello, welcome to Family Movie Night, where we'll be talking about what we watch for Family Movie Night. My name is Mike, and today we are talking about Hoppers. Hoppers is the 2026, came out a couple weeks ago, Pixar movie. Premise of this is a 19-year-old animal lover uses technology that places her consciousness into a robotic beaver to uncover mysteries within the animal world beyond her imagination. This stars Piper Curda, Bobby Monahan, John Hamm, Kathy Najimy, Dave Franco, Sam Richardson, Meryl Streep for a hot minute, and just among others. But this is directed by Daniel Chong, who is part of the collective Pixar zeitgeist. He's been involved with a lot of the shorts, he's been involved in various capacities on various other Pixar movies. So I took the girls to go see this over spring break. This was a movie that I was kind of lukewarm on in terms of my anticipation for it. I think animals, I thought the premise of it was cute. I think that's a good way to put it. I really wasn't sure what to expect from something like this. And then when I actually saw some of the trailers and some of the previews, I'm like, oh, okay, this looks perfectly fine and perfectly harmless, I suppose. So when I saw it, after I was done, I felt a little conflicted about it, and I ultimately ended up in thumbs middle with this. And the reason why is because, for one thing, our theater going experience was fine generally. Unfortunately, we were in the front row, and I know my oldest, she got to sit with her friends. So I got to sit with the youngest, and she was first, it was really loud, and also she was like, I can barely see. So that's possibly part of the reason why, is because the theater going experience wasn't exactly great. The other thing as well is that I kind of found this movie to be just very middle of the road. And that's not exactly the film's fault, unfortunately. That is Pixar and its greatness and them trying to just find ways to continually level up. Again, that's not Pixar's fault, unfortunately, but as we've come to expect, that Pixar just gives us greatness time and time and time and time and time again. When something like this comes out, it's like this is fine. I think if this would have come out in the early 2010s, I think this would have been maybe better received, but it didn't. It's coming out in 2026 when Pixar, I don't want to say they're in a creative rut because that's definitely not the case. Because they've shown that they can, bring it with their A game, and Disney, unfortunately, is the one that has to be like, well, I don't know about that. So there are quite a few things that I did like about Hoppers. The first being, I thought the animals and their interactions together were quite cute and quite adorable. And I think one of the things that I enjoyed about this is the different dynamics, the pond rules, and the community feel that you get from this. So I did really appreciate that. I think the technology is really interesting, where putting yourself in a animal's shoes, I think that's an interesting concept, and just this whole notion about you don't know what anybody's going through until you experience it through their shoes. I loved the part with the animal kingdoms, or the animal like royalty per se. I really liked that, and I think that if it would have leaned a little bit more into that, I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. The whole notion of a community is kind of what makes everything, sing here. But I really, really like the messaging that Mabel kind of puts through with this is, do you ever feel so incredibly helpless that you don't know what to do and you just kind of freak out a little bit? And that is something that I know we all can relate to now, is that what do you do when you feel so small and that you feel like nothing you do makes a difference? I really resonated with that message. It's too bad that for Mabel in particular, because Mabel is the character that I'm like on the most in this because, and granted, maybe it's because I maybe missed the first like couple minutes of the movie, and I'm hoping that I could either next time I go to the movies and kind of see that and get that additional context. Maybe that opinion will change, but I think the big thing for me is that Mabel as a character just kind of all over the place. And, I think the notion that that punch that I come to expect with Pixar, I was hoping to get it from her and I didn't. I got it from George, who is the Mammal King, which I was not quite expecting. And that part at the end with them on the rock, I found that to be just so wholesome and adorable, and I loved it. I also think that this movie probably would have been a little bit better received if The Wild Robot hadn't come out a couple of years before and done this 10 million times better about portraying how the animal kingdom, the only way that it can thrive is if it works together, and the understanding that nature has to come into play at some point, but also that animals can thrive together as well. I like Mayor Jerry as a villain was pretty what you'd expect from a Pixar movie, but nothing to sneeze home about. I had fun. I did laugh quite a bit at this, which I always enjoy that with the Pixar movie. There's a couple jokes in here that's like, oh, that's good. I'll get you there. And the music. I quite enjoyed the music. Yeah, so the music's good. This was harmless, good fun. My youngest did get scared a couple of times during this, especially during the dark scenes involving some of like the meaner animals, like the reptiles. So I think there was that. I thought there was a little too much humans in this, and if it would have just stuck more with the animals, I think that would have been better. But what do I know at the end of the day? I'm just, at the end of the day, my oldest enjoyed this. I enjoyed it just fine. This is probably like lower tier Pixar for me. Probably, in the bottom 10, maybe like at least definitely the bottom half. And that's partially recency bias, and I'm hoping that upon further rewatches we'll be able to see, just a little bit more here that I think could color my opinion a little bit more for the future. But well, what did you think of Hoppers? Did you enjoy it? Let me know in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Family Movie Night. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Blue Sky to SPDM Crew. Check out our website at .com. Follow us on Letterboxd at MLHilty2452 and follow our list labeled Family Movie Night. Shout out to iFlyer Creative Studios for making our awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. Check out the other shows on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. We've got a lot of great content. Really proud of the work that everyone's doing. So please check out and support the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And finally, if you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM Crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. Until next time, happy watching, friends.